What's up YouTube, Pop Snorlax here. I'm finally back with another update from locals, and this week Red White Turn A managed to take first place. I know the deck will need a few adjustments once the updated ban list takes effect, since it currently runs two different sets of standard 2-2 units. However, in its current form, the deck performed exceptionally well. Both versions of G-Fred put in a ton of work throughout the tournament. The deck also constantly threatened suppression, first strike, and high maneuver through G-Quux, Curios, and Graham's Union Flag combined with Turn A. Combining with multiple ways to ping damaged units off the board, the deck had plenty of tools to control the field while continuing to pressure shield. This week we decided not to test the best of 3 format. Our local store will probably begin testing it either next week or the week after. Even though I didn't end up using it, my sideboard consisted of 4 copies of Awakened Potential, 3 copies of A New Sign, and 3 copies of The Witch and the Bride. The idea behind these cards was to give the deck additional ways to bounce enemy units off the board, allowing my low-cost units to continue attacking shields. A New Sign was included as a late-game draw option that could help thin the deck while also placing important cards into the trash for turn A's effects. I played 3 matches during the tournament. My first match was against Green-White Wing Gundam. Honestly, I probably should have lost to this one. My buddy's son was piloting this deck during his first tournament, and he did a great job overall. There were a few moments where different decisions could have been made, but with a little more practice, he'll be competing with the rest of us in no time. He actually finished in second place after defeating Blue-White Unicorn in the final round, which was an impressive result for his first tournament. My second match was against Blue-White Unicorn. This match showed me that even though Red-White Turn A is built low to the ground, it can still hold its own against blocker-heavy decks. My opponent started building a defensive board with Elfriths, Flats, and Rick Diaz, while I continued developing my side of the field and waited for the right opening. Once I started getting linked Turn A units into play and finding my close combat cards, I was able to bounce or remove some of those blockers before beginning to attack their shields. From there, the match became a constant back and forth battle. A late game G-Quux allowed me to remove a Rick Diaz, and Turn A gaining high maneuver eventually gave me the opening I needed to close out the game. I also have to give credit to the level 4 2-cost G-Freds. That card put in serious work throughout the match. I ended up deploying all 4 copies, and they helped me clear Unicorn Awaken and several other annoying blockers off the field. My final match was against Red-Green Neo Zeon. This was easily the fastest the deck performed all day. By turn 3, I already had 4 units on the field and was able to immediately begin applying pressure. We traded units frequently throughout the match, especially with both of us using close combat to control the board. Fortunately for me, my opponent was unable to get the links he needed for Kshatriya near the end of the game. That gave me the opportunity to break through their final defenses and secure the win. Overall, I would probably rank Red-White Turn A as a close second behind my Blue-White Turn A build. This version felt incredibly strong, consistent, and aggressive, but I'll admit that I'm a little biased toward Blue-White. Now that we've gone over how the deck performed, there are still a few color combinations that we haven't tested yet. With that being said, let's get into it. Gundam Roulette! Alright, so we got 3 color combinations left. Let's see what we get. Alright, so our last combination that we get to use Turn A in, Purple-White. Let's dive in. Alright, before we dive into Turn A Tekkadan, please support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with future Gundam Roulettes, deck profiles, and other Gundam TCG content. With that out of the way, let's break down the deck. We're starting with our early game units. We're running 4 copies of Gray's Custom as our standard 2-2 unit. Next, we have 4 copies of Gundam Barbatos Force Form, which serve as one of our deck's primary draw engines. After that, we're running 4 Hyakurins as our early game beaters to help establish pressure and contest the board. We're also playing 2 copies of Graham's Union Flag Custom. The main purpose of this card is to place high maneuver into the trash, so Turn A Gundam can gain access to it later. Next, we have 4 copies of Gundam Barbatos Adept. This card helps set up the deck by damaging both our own units and our opponent's units. Damaging our own Tekkadan units can activate several of the deck's synergies, while pinging enemy units makes them easier to finish off with our other effects. That brings us to our favorite mustachioed mobile suit, Turn A Gundam. We're running 4 copies, and in this build, Turn A will primarily be gaining high maneuver and suppression from the cards in our trash. This gives it the ability to bypass blockers while also controlling the opponent's board. Next, we have 3 copies of Gundam Gujin Rebake. Gujin provides additional ping damage while also functioning as a strong late game blocker. It fits naturally into the Tekkadan package and gives us another way to manage damaged enemy units. Rounding out our boss units, we're running 3 copies of Gundam Barbatos Lupus. The goal is to use Lupus's ability to finish off damaged units while continuing to pressure the opponent's remaining shields. Finishing off our units, we're also running 2 copies of Unicorn Gundam Awakened. Unicorn provides suppression for turn A while also being a powerful unit on its own. Its ability to give an enemy unit -2 AP whenever we use a command card can help us win important battles and remove larger threats. Moving on to pilots, we're running our 4 copies of Laurent Hack for our turn A, and then we're running 4 copies of Mikazuki for our Tekiden units. For commands, we're starting with 4 copies of Overflowing Affection. This helps us sift through the deck while placing important cards into the trash for both Turn A Gundam and Gundam Barbatos Lupus. We're then running 2 copies of my favorite purple command, Damage Control. This gives us another defensive option and can help keep our important units on the field. After that, we have 2 copies of Giant Killing for additional removal against larger enemy units. Rounding out the main deck, we're running 4 copies of Isarabi. I've used Wilgem in several of my other turn A builds, but for this deck specifically, I believe Isarabi will be more beneficial. It has a stronger synergy with the Tekiden units and can buff any of our damaged units, which works perfectly with what the deck is already trying to accomplish. Moving into the sideboard, we're starting with 2 copies of Unforeseen Incident to help control early game battles. We're also running 4 copies of Awakened Potential. I'm interested to see how well this card performs against aggressive decks or strategies that rely on establishing early units. It allows us to bounce a unit back to the opponent's hand, and if we already have 2 copies in the trash, it can also give one of our units blocker. That additional defensive option could completely change the outcome of a battle. Next, we have 2 copies of Awakened Power. This is included in case we move through the deck too quickly and need to recover important cards from the trash. Lastly, I'm running 2 copies of Decisive Last Resort as a potential tech card. This command allows us to exile 6 purple units from the trash to destroy an enemy unit. It is mainly included as an answer to massive boss units like Neo Zeong, or anything else that becomes too difficult to handle with Turn A Gundam or Gundam Barbatos Lupus. And that is Turn A Tekiden. I'm excited to take this build to locals this week and see how everything performs. Let me know what you think of the deck, and I'll provide another update during the week if I make adjustments before the tournament. I'm Papa Snorlax, and I'll see you next time.